Why are you awake? It is 3 o'clock in the morning, and the world has fallen into a silence so heavy it feels like a physical weight against your skin. The house is breathing around you, the floorboards settling, the refrigerator humming a low, lonely tune in the kitchen. But you are wide awake. Think about this moment. You aren't just awake in a room. You are awake in a gap between worlds. This is the hour when the mask of your daily identity, the person with the job, the names, the bills, and the social expectations has finally gone to sleep. The you that remains is something else entirely. It is the witness. It is the silent observer who exists beneath the noise of the day, standing at the edge of a vast, dark ocean. Have you ever noticed how the air feels different at this hour? It's as if the veil between what we see and what truly is has grown thin and translucent. In the ancient traditions, they call this the Amrit Vela, the Ambrosial Hours. It is said that at 3 o'clock am, the nectar of the divine begins to flow, and those who are awake to receive it are stepping into a doorway that leads straight into the infinite. But why this time? Why does the universe seem to whisper loudest when the rest of the world is silent? If you are lying there, staring at the ceiling, feeling a strange mix of anxiety and awe, do not be afraid. You aren't suffering from insomnia, you are being summoned. You are being invited to look into the mirror of the great silence and see what you are when nothing is expected of you. Take a deep breath. Feel the air move into your lungs and realize that this breath is the only thing that is truly happening right now. The past is a ghost, the future is a dream. There is only the dark, the breath, and the doorway. In the modern world, we view 3 o'clock am as a problem to be solved with sleep medication or mindless scrolling. We see it as a glitch in the machine of productivity. But to the mystic, the poet, and the seeker, this is the most productive hour of the soul's life. Neuroscience tells us that at this hour, your body is at its physiological nadir. Your core temperature has dropped to its lowest point, your cortisol levels are bottoming out, and your brain is producing a unique cocktail of melatonin and trace amounts of dimethyltryptamine. You are biologically primed for transcendence. Your analytical mind, the part of you that judges, categorizes, and worries, is at its weakest. This is the hidden trap that keeps 90% of people asleep. They believe the ego is their only self, so when the ego weakens at night, they flee back into unconsciousness. But if you stay awake, if you sit in that stillness, something remarkable begins to happen. The boundaries of your skin start to feel less like a wall and more like a bridge. You begin to sense that the darkness in the room is the same darkness that exists between the stars. Think about the sheer scale of the silence outside your window right now. Millions of people are dreaming, their minds drifting in the astral currents, leaving the physical world empty and quiet. This emptiness is not a void, it is a presence. Carl Jung once spoke of the golden shadow, the parts of our greatness that we are too afraid to claim. At 3 o'clock am, the golden shadow stands at the foot of your bed. It asks you, who are you when no one is watching? What do you want when the world isn't telling you what to want? We spend our days running from these questions. We fill our ears with music, our eyes with screens, and our minds with to-do lists just to avoid the terrifying vastness of our own being. But at 3 o'clock am, there is nowhere left to run. The room is dark, the phone is silent, and you are left with the one person you have spent your whole life trying to outrun, yourself. This is the doorway. It is a portal made of quiet and honesty. If you lean into this silence, you might start to feel a strange vibration in your chest. It's a subtle hum, a frequency that matches the rotation of the Earth and the pulse of the vacuum. This is what the quantum physicists call the zero-point field. It is the state of perfect potential. It is the nothing from which everything arises. When you are awake at 3 o'clock am, you are standing at the very source of creation, before the first thought has even been formed. Imagine your life is a movie playing on a screen. During the day, you are so caught up in the plot, the drama, and the characters that you forget you are watching a film. But at 3 a.m. the projector flickers, the image fades, and for a moment you see the blank white screen behind the light. That screen is the infinite. It is the consciousness that allows the movie to exist in the first place. You aren't the character on the screen. You are the light that makes the character visible. Can you feel that shift in perspective? It's a slight tilt of the soul. Suddenly, your problems, the ones that felt so heavy at 3 p.m. look like small flickering shadows. They are real, yes, but they aren't you. You are the space in which the problems occur. You are the silence in which the noise happens. You are the eternal I am that was there before your name was given to you and will be there after your name is forgotten. Think about the weight of your own name. During the day, you carry it like a shield. It's your identity, your history, your list of achievements and failures. But in the middle of the night, your name feels like a borrowed garment that doesn't quite fit anymore. Who are you when you forget your name? Alan Watts once suggested that we are not dots in the universe, separate and alone, but rather waves on the surface of an infinite ocean. At 3 a.m., the wind that creates the waves dies down. The surface becomes glass, and for the first time, you can see all the way to the bottom. This is why the silence feels so heavy. It's not the absence of sound. It's the presence of everything you've been ignoring. In psychology, there is a concept known as the default mode network, a circuit in your brain that is responsible for your sense of self. It's the narrator that never stops talking, the one constantly rehashing the past or rehearsing the future. But at this hour, the default mode network begins to lose its grip. The narrator grows tired. The story begins to fray at the edges. And in that fraying, you catch a glimpse of the infinite. It's terrifying, isn't it? To realize that the you've spent decades building is just a collection of habits and reactions. To realize that beneath the layers of someone, there is a vast, echoing no-thingness. But do not mistake this no-thingness for nothingness. In the Taoist tradition, Lao Tzu spoke of the vessel being useful only because of its emptiness. The window is only useful because of the hole in the wall. You are the vessel. You are the window. Your emptiness is not a lack, it is your capacity. It is the only place where the infinite can truly reside. If you were full of yourself, there would be no room for God, for the universe, or for the truth. Take a moment. Look at your hands in the dim light. Those hands are made of atoms that were forged in the heart of dying stars billions of years ago. You are literally the universe looking back at itself. And yet, we spend our lives worried about a missed email or a misunderstood comment. 3 a.m. is the universe's way of saying, look up, remember what you are. Many people call this the witching hour. Throughout history, folk tales have warned us that this is when ghosts and demons roam. But what is a ghost really? A ghost is a memory that refuses to die. A demon is a shadow that we haven't integrated. When you feel that shiver down your spine in the dark, it isn't something outside of you. It is the parts of your own soul that you have locked away in the basement, banging on the floorboards, begging to be seen. Carl Jung called this the process of individuation, the journey toward becoming whole. You cannot be whole if you only live in the light. To be a complete human being, you must be brave enough to sit at 3 a.m. and have a conversation with your own darkness. Ask it, what are you trying to tell me? Ask it, why am I so afraid of being still? Listen, not with your ears but with your skin. Listen to the way your heart beats without you having to tell it to. Listen to the way your cells are constantly repairing themselves, fueled by a wisdom that your conscious mind could never hope to understand. There is a profound intelligence operating within you right now. It is the same intelligence that guides the migration of birds and the collision of galaxies. It doesn't need your name. It doesn't need your bank account. It only needs your presence. Think about the concept of quantum superposition. In the world of the very small, a particle can exist in multiple states at once until it is observed. At 3:00 am, your life is in a state of superposition. The day hasn't started yet, so you are not yet the worker, the parent, or the friend. The past is gone, so you are no longer the victim or the failure. In this hour, you are every possibility at once. You are the observer, and by observing this moment without judgment, you are literally collapsing the wave function of your destiny. You are choosing, in the silence, which version of you will walk out of the bedroom when the sun rises. Eckhart Tolle describes this as the power of now, but it's more than just a self-help phrase. It is a biological and spiritual reality. Most people are never now. They are always then or next. But the infinite doesn't exist in then or next. It only exists in the vertical dimension of the present moment. Imagine a horizontal line representing time, your birth at one end, your death at the other. Most of us spend our lives running back and forth along that line. But at 3:00 am, a vertical line drops down from the heavens and intersects the horizontal. That intersection is the doorway. It is a point of stillness in a turning world. If you can stay at that intersection, even for a few minutes, you will realize that you are not moving through time. Time is moving through you. You are the stationary point. You are the screen. You are the silence. Why do we find this so hard to accept? Because the ego thrives on conflict. It wants a problem to solve. It wants an enemy to fight. At 3:00 am, there is no enemy. There is just the hum of the universe. And for the ego, that hum sounds like an ending. But for the soul, it sounds like an invitation. Consider the stillness of the room again. In the modern world, we have been conditioned to fear the void. We fill every gap in our day with noise because we have been taught that emptiness is a sign of lack. But look at the night. The night isn't empty. It is pregnant with everything that hasn't happened yet. There is a term in photography called negative space. It's the area around and between the subjects of an image. Most people focus only on the subject, the things of their life. But the beauty of the photograph, the very thing that gives the subject its shape and meaning, is the negative space. At 3:00 am, you are standing in the negative space of the universe. You are seeing the background. Take a breath, and as you exhale, imagine you are letting go of your social security number, your physical address, and the story of your childhood. If you let go of those things, do you cease to exist? No. In fact, you feel more present than ever. You feel a strange, weightless clarity. This is what the Buddhists call sunyata, the great emptiness. It isn't the emptiness of a trash can. It's the emptiness of the sky. The sky can hold a thunderstorm, a fleet of planes, and a billion stars, yet it remains untouched. You are that sky. The thoughts drifting through your mind right now, the I should be sleeping, the I'm worried about tomorrow, those are just clouds. They are passing through you, but they are not you. When you wake up at this hour, the universe is giving you a front row seat to the mechanism of your own mind. You get to watch the clouds form from a place of safety. Most people spend their lives lost inside the cloud. They think they are the storm. But sitting here, in the cold blue light of 3:00 am, you realize that the storm is just something you are hosting. You are the host. You are the vast, silent house in which the wind is blowing. Think about the concept of the observer effect in quantum physics. The mere act of watching a particle change its behavior. When you watch your thoughts at 3:00 am, you change them. By simply noticing the anxiety loses its power to control you. it becomes an object. And if it is an object, then you must be the subject. You are the one looking. There is a profound freedom in this realization. If you are the one looking, then you are not the thing being looked at. You are not your depression. You are not your bank balance. You are not your age. You are the timeless awareness that is witnessing all of it. The 14th century mystic Meister Eckhart once said, "The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me." At 3:00 a.m., that eye is wide open. The boundary between the internal and the external begins to dissolve. You realize that the silence in your room is the same silence that exists in the deepest trenches of the ocean. It is the silence of the primal source. Why do we find it so difficult to stay in this state? Why does the mind immediately reach for the phone to check the news or social media? Because the ego is a parasite of attention. It needs content to survive. It needs to compare itself to others, to judge, to want, and to fear. The infinite, however, requires nothing. It is already whole. When you check your phone at 3:00 a.m., you are essentially inviting the noisy world back into your sanctuary. You are choosing the small, flickering screen over the vast, cosmic doorway. Try this instead. Next time you wake up, keep the lights off. Don't look at the time. Don't check your notifications. Just sit. Feel the weight of your body on the mattress. Feel the temperature of the air on your skin. Become aware of the space in the corners of the room. You will notice a sensation of stretching. Your awareness will start to expand beyond the limits of your physical form. You might feel as though you are as large as the room itself. You might feel the presence of the trees outside, breathing in the dark. This is not a hallucination. This is the truth of your interconnectedness. The hidden trap is the belief that you are a skin-encapsulated ego, a tiny, fragile thing trapped inside a bag of bones, destined to struggle and then die. But at 3:00 a.m., that lie becomes transparent. You are a localized expression of the entire cosmos. You are a way for the universe to experience itself as a human being for a brief window of time. Think about a wave in the ocean. The wave might think it is separate from the other waves. It might worry about its height, its speed, and the moment it hits the shore. But the wave is the ocean. It was never anything else. And when it hits the shore, it doesn't die, it just returns to the source to become another wave. You are the wave, and 3:00 a.m. is the moment you remember you are the water. This silence is not empty. It is a mirror. During the day, you look into mirrors to see if your hair is right, if your clothes fit, or if you look tired. But the mirror of 3:00 a.m. doesn't show you your face. It shows you your state of being. It reflects the quality of your internal world. If you are restless, the silence will feel like a cage. If you are at peace, the silence will feel like a vast, open meadow. Have you ever wondered why some of the greatest music, the most profound poetry, and the most world-changing ideas were birthed in the middle of the night? It's because at this hour, the gatekeeper of the conscious mind has fallen asleep at his post. The logical, linear side of your brain, the part that tells you that's impossible, or that's a silly idea, is offline. The subconscious mind, which speaks in the language of symbols, metaphors, and infinite connections, is finally free to roam. In the world of physics, David Bohm spoke of the implicate order. He suggested that the reality we see, the explicate order, is just the surface. Beneath it lies a deeper, enfolded reality where everything is connected to everything else. 3:00 a.m. is when you slip beneath the surface. You move from the explicate to the implicate. You start to see the threads. You see how your childhood fear is connected to your current career choice. You see how a conversation you had 10 years ago is still vibrating in your field today. You aren't just thinking, you are remembering the blueprint of your own existence. Close your eyes for a moment. Even in the dark, you can see the space inside your head. Where does that space end? If you look closely, you'll realize that the internal space of your mind and the external space of the room are made of the same fabric. The boundary of the skull is an illusion. There is only one space, and you are the awareness that occupies it. The Persian poet Rumi once wrote, "The breezes at dawn have secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep." He wasn't just talking about the sunrise. He was talking about this specific window of time where the soul is most porous. This is the time when the secrets, the insights that can change the trajectory of your life are whispered. But these secrets don't come in words. They come in feelings of knowing. You might suddenly realize what you need to say to a loved one. You might finally understand the root of a recurring dream. Or you might simply feel a profound sense of rightness with the world, despite all its chaos. This is the ambrosia that the ancient yogis spoke of. It is the nectar of direct experience. Think about the way we usually learn. We read books, we listen to podcasts, we watch videos like this one. We take in information from the outside. But at 3 o'clock am, the learning is information. It is formed from within. It is a direct transmission from the source of your being to your waking mind. The biological reason for this is fascinating. Your pineal gland, often referred to as the third eye, is most active in the deep darkness. It is converting serotonin, the chemical of daytime mood, into melatonin and other neurochemicals that facilitate deep, visionary states. In some traditions, this is called the chemical marriage. It is the union of the sun and the moon within the human body. When you stay awake during this process, you are essentially witnessing your own alchemy. You are watching your brain translate the infinite into the finite. This is why you feel so sensitive. Every sound is magnified. Every thought feels heavier. You are a finely tuned instrument, and the universe is playing a song on your heartstrings. If you feel a sense of melancholy, don't push it away. Melancholy is not the same as sadness. Sadness is about a specific event. Melancholy is a longing for the infinite. It is the soul's homesickness. It is the realization that you are a cosmic traveler, currently wearing a heavy suit of flesh. Allow yourself to feel that longing. Let it wash over you like a cool wave. In that longing, there is a deep sweetness. It is the proof that you belong to something much larger than your daily life. It is the tether that connects you to the stars. Most people spend their lives trying to cut that tether. They want to be grounded. They want to be practical. They want to be normal. But you are awake at 3 o'clock am. You have chosen or have been chosen to experience the ungrow undeadness of the truth. To be ungrow unded is to be free to fly. Think about the planet beneath you right now. It is hurtling through the vacuum of space at 67,000 miles per hour. It is spinning on its axis, wobbling slightly, suspended in a delicate balance of gravitational forces. You are standing on a miracle, breathing air provided by ancient trees, fueled by the light of a distant nuclear furnace. And yet, we worry about whether people like our photos or if we'll have enough money for a new car. 3 o'clock am is the great correction. It recalibrates your perspective. It shrinks the ego and expands the soul until they are in their proper proportions. The ego is a small, necessary tool for navigating the world. But the soul is the master of the house. For a few hours every night, the master comes out of the study and walks through the halls. Are you brave enough to walk with him? Are you brave enough to stop pretending you are just a person and accept that you are a process? A process of the universe experiencing itself in high definition. Take another deep breath. Feel the stillness expanding. The world will wake up soon. The cars will start to hiss on the pavement. The alarms will chime. The masks will be put back on. But right now, the mask is off. Right now, you are a doorway. And through that doorway, the infinite is looking back at you, smiling at the beautiful mystery of your existence. The silence of the house is not just an absence of sound. It is a presence. It is a living, breathing entity that sits in the corner of the room, watching you. During the day, silence is something we avoid. We call it awkward. We fill it with small talk, with the hum of the television, with the tapping of our fingers on a keyboard. We treat silence like an empty room we are afraid to enter alone. But at 3:00 a.m., the silence is the only thing that is real. Think about the sheer courage it takes to sit in this stillness without reaching for a distraction. To simply be is perhaps the most radical act a human being can perform in the 21st century. We are a species addicted to doing. We define our worth by our output, our busyness, our movement. But movement is often just a way to avoid the direction of our own souls. When you stop moving, the world stops being a backdrop and becomes a mirror. In the ancient monastic traditions, whether in the Himalayas or the deserts of Egypt, the hours between midnight and dawn were considered the most sacred. The monks didn't wake up at 3:00 a.m. because they were masochists. They woke up because they knew that the static of human collective thought is at its lowest during these hours. Every person on earth is a transmitter. We are constantly broadcasting our anxieties, our desires, our frustrations, and our dreams into the collective psychic field. During the day, that field is a chaotic roar. It's like trying to hear a single flute in the middle of a hurricane. But as the world sleeps, the roar fades to a whisper. The global mind goes quiet. This is why your thoughts feel so much clearer at 3:00 a.m. This is why your intuition, that small, still voice that usually gets drowned out by the noise of the grocery store and the highway, suddenly sounds like a bell. You are finally able to hear your own frequency. Take a moment to listen to that frequency. It's not a thought. It's a vibration. It's the feeling of being alive that exists before you even put a name to it. If you pay close attention, you'll realize that this vibration doesn't have an age. It doesn't feel like a young vibration or an old vibration. It feels timeless. The you that is awake right now is the same you that was awake in your crib as an infant, staring at the shadows on the wall. It is the same you that will be there in your final moments on this earth. This is the witness. This is the part of you that never changes, never ages, and never dies. It is the infinite. And at 3:00 a.m., the witness finally gets to speak. Most people mistake the witness for the mind. They think they are the voice in their head that says, "I'm tired," or "I'm worried about the meeting tomorrow." But you are the one hearing that voice. If you can't hear the mind talking, then you cannot be the mind. You are the space in which the mind is talking. Think about a radio. The radio can play jazz, it can play news, it can play static. But the radio itself is none of those things. It is the vessel for the signal. At 3:00 a.m., you are tuning the dial. You are moving away from the daily news of your life and toward the cosmic symphony. The hidden trap we spoke of earlier is the belief that the music is the radio. We get so caught up in the songs of our lives, the tragedies and the triumphs, that we forget we are the device that makes the music possible. The doorway to the infinite is simply the realization that you are the vessel. Why is it that we feel a strange sense of oneness at this hour? Perhaps it's because the boundaries of the ego are biologically linked to the light. The ego is a creature of the sun. It thrives in the world of distinctions, where we can clearly see the line between me and you, between mine and yours. In the dark, those lines blur. You cannot see where your body ends and the air begins. You cannot see the walls of your room. Everything becomes a single, velvety field of possibility. This is a physical representation of a spiritual truth. Separation is an optical illusion of consciousness. Albert Einstein called it a parochial delusion. We think we are separate because our senses tell us we are. But at 3:00 a.m., our senses are dialed down, and our extrasensory awareness begins to wake up. You might feel a sudden wave of compassion for people you haven't thought about in years. You might feel a connection to a stranger on the other side of the planet who is also awake, staring at their own ceiling. In this hour, we are all part of the same silent congregation. We are the night watchmen of the human spirit. Think about the word awake. It doesn't just mean not asleep. It means to be in the wake of something. When a ship moves through the water, it leaves a wake behind it, a path of churned up, shimmering energy. To be awake is to be conscious of the path the universe is carving through the moment. Most of the world is asleep, not just physically but metaphorically. They are moving through their lives in a state of hypnosis, reacting to stimuli, following scripts written by their parents, their culture, and their fears. But you are standing in the wake. You are seeing the movement. You are noticing the ripples. This is the beginning of what the ancient Greeks called metanoia, a fundamental change in the way one perceives reality. It's often translated as repentance, but its true meaning is much more beautiful: to go beyond the mind. At 3:00 a.m., you are being invited to go beyond your mind, to leave the small, cramped apartment of your personality and step out into the vast, starlit garden of the infinite. It's okay if it feels overwhelming. The infinite is, by definition, too large for the human brain to grasp. But it is not too large for the human heart to feel. The brain wants to understand. The heart wants to belong. And right now, in the silence, you belong. You belong to the dark. You belong to the stars. You belong to the mystery that breathed the first atom into existence. Have you ever felt that 3:00 a.m. is not just a time, but a place? In Celtic mythology, they speak of thin places, geographical locations where the distance between heaven and earth collapses and the two worlds touch. At this hour, time itself becomes a thin place. The wall between your conscious mind and the vast, swirling ocean of the collective unconscious becomes porous. The you that you pretend to be during the day is a solid object, but the you at 3:00 a.m. is a fluid. You are leaking into the universe, and the universe is leaking into you. Think about the dreams you were just having before you woke up. They weren't just random firings of neurons. They were the language of the soul trying to communicate with the ego. When you wake up abruptly at this hour, you are often catching the soul mid-sentence. This is why you might feel a lingering sense of dread or a sudden burst of inexplicable joy. You are carrying the atmospheric pressure of the deeper realms back into the physical world. Carl Jung believed that we all share a common psychic basement, the collective unconscious. It is filled with the archetypes, the myths, and the memories of every human who has ever lived. During the day, the bright light of the sun keeps the basement door locked. We are too busy with the explicate order, the world of things and schedules, to notice the implicate order humming beneath our feet. But in the dead of night, the door creaks open. You are no longer just an individual. You are a node in a giant, glowing web of consciousness. You are feeling the weight of humanity's hopes and fears. You are sensing the ancient rhythm of life and death that governs everything from the moss on a stone to the rotation of a pulsar. Take a deep breath and feel that weight. It isn't a burden, it is a connection. It is the realization that you are never truly alone, even in the darkest, quietest room. You are surrounded by the presence of the infinite, which is simply another word for the totality of what is. We often think of the infinite as something out there, somewhere beyond the stars in a distant heaven. But the doorway at 3:00 am doesn't lead out. It leads in. The infinite is not a distance, it is a depth. It is the space between your thoughts. It is the silence between your heartbeats. It is the stillness that remains when you stop telling yourself the story of your life. Consider the observer again. If you were to lose your memory tomorrow, if you forgot your name, your past, your language, and your goals, what would be left? There would still be an awareness of the light in the room. There would still be the sensation of the breath. There would still be a center that experiences. That center is the infinite. It is the I that exists before I am a doctor, or I am a mother, or I am a failure. At 3:00 am, the universe strips away the adjectives. It leaves you with the pure, naked verb of being. This is the golden trap that 90% of people miss. They think that without their adjectives, they are nothing. They fear the emptiness because they think it means they have disappeared. But the mystic knows that when you disappear as a someone, you reappear as everything. Think about the light of a star. By the time that light reaches your eyes at 3:00 am, the star itself might have died millions of years ago. You are looking at a ghost of the past. In the same way, the self you worry about during the day is often just a ghost of past experiences and future anxieties. It is a light from a star that isn't even there anymore. But the awareness that sees the light, that is happening now. That awareness is the only thing in the universe that is truly, eternally present. It is the still point of the turning world. When you sit in the dark at 3:00 am, you are aligning yourself with that still point. You are stopping the frantic spin of the ego and settling into the gravity of the soul. Can you feel that shift? It's a feeling of coming home. It's the realization that you don't need to achieve enlightenment or find the truth. You are the truth. You are the light that allows the truth to be seen. The doorway is not a physical gate. It is a shift in attention. It is moving your focus from the content of consciousness, the thoughts, the feelings, the sounds, to the context of consciousness. Imagine you are looking at a beautiful painting. Usually, you are so focused on the colors and the figures that you forget the canvas. At 3:00 am, the painting fades. The colors wash away, and you are left staring at the canvas itself. Pure, undifferentiated, infinite. The canvas is not nothing. It is the possibility of everything. Without the canvas, the painting could not exist. You are the canvas of the universe. Every joy you've ever felt, every heartbreak you've ever endured, every dream you've ever chased, they are all just strokes of paint on the surface of your infinite being. They change. They fade. They are painted over. But you, the canvas, you remain. This is the peace that passes all understanding. It is the realization that you are fundamentally okay, regardless of what is happening in the movie of your life. You are safe in the silence. You are held by the dark. As the first hint of gray begins to touch the horizon, don't rush to meet the day. Don't let the small self take the wheel just yet. Stay in the doorway for a few more minutes. Watch the transition from the infinite to the finite. Watch how the mind starts to build the world again, piece by piece, thought by thought. See how it reaches for the old worries. See how it tries to put on the old shoes that don't quite fit. You can watch this happen without being consumed by it. You can walk into the day as the witness, carrying the silence of 3 o'clock a.m. in your pocket like a secret stone. You can move through the noise of the world and remember, I am not the noise. I am the silence in which the noise happens. Look at the window. The sky is no longer a solid, impenetrable black. It has begun to shift into a deep, bruised indigo. The stars are starting to fade, not because they are going away, but because the atmosphere is beginning to wake up, scattering the first faint whispers of light. This is the most critical moment of the journey. This is where most people falter. The hidden trap that keeps 90% of people asleep isn't just about physical rest. It is the trap of the waking sleep. In a few hours, you will be walking, talking, and working. You will be checking off lists and making eye contact. To the outside world, you will appear fully awake. But if you are still identified with the voice in your head, if you are still reacting to the world instead of observing it, you are still dreaming. You have simply traded a private dream for a collective one. Think about the sheer intensity of the self that takes over when the sun comes up. It is a demanding, hungry thing. It wants validation. It wants safety. It wants to be right. But the you that sat in the silence at 3 o'clock a.m., that you didn't want anything. That you was satisfied simply to exist. The transformation happens when you realize that the 3 o'clock a.m. version of yourself is the real one, and the 3 o'clock p.m. version is the costume. Most people believe the opposite. They think their real life is the one with the titles and the drama, and that these moments of midnight clarity are just late-night thoughts or exhaustion-induced delusions. But let's look at the evidence. During the day, your mind is bombarded by thousands of external signals. You are a victim of the algorithm, the traffic, the boss's mood, and the news cycle. You are in a state of constant, low-grade fight or flight. Is that when you are most real? When you are under the most pressure to conform and survive? Or are you more real now? In the silence, where there is no one to impress, no one to fight, and nothing to defend. Take a deep breath and feel the radical honesty of this moment. You have reached the doorway, but a doorway is not a destination. It is a transition. The challenge is not to stay in the dark forever. The challenge is to carry the light of the dark into the day. Imagine walking into a crowded room today, but instead of seeing 100 separate, competing egos, you see 100 localized expressions of the same infinite. Imagine looking at someone who is angry at you and realizing that their anger is just a storm passing through their own canvas. You don't have to be the storm. You don't even have to be the umbrella. You can just be the space in which the storm happens. This is the secret of the masters. This is what it means to be in the world, but not of it. It is the ability to maintain the 3 o'clock a.m. perspective while the sun is blindingly bright. Think about the concept of the observer one last time. If you can maintain the position of the observer during the day, you become untouchable. Not because you are cold or unfeeling, but because you are no longer a target. You can only be hurt if you think you are the subject of the sentence. If you are the I that is being insulted or the I that is being rejected. But if you are the space in which the insult or rejection occurs, where is the pain? Space cannot be cut. Space cannot be burned. Space cannot be ignored. It simply is. As the light begins to fill the room, you might feel a sense of loss. You might feel the infinite starting to withdraw, like a tide going out. The world of names and forms is rushing back in. The gravity of your responsibilities is starting to pull at your limbs. But look closely at the dust motes dancing in the first shaft of sunlight. They are doing the same dance they were doing in the dark. The only thing that has changed is the visibility. The infinite hasn't gone anywhere. It doesn't leave when the sun rises. It is the very light that allows the sun to be seen. You don't have to go back to sleep. Even as you get out of bed, even as you start the coffee, even as you step out into the noise, you can remain awake. You are the doorway. You have always been the doorway. The 3 o'clock AM experience was just a reminder. It was a tapping on the glass of your soul, asking you to remember your true proportions. You are not the person in the mirror. You are the mirror. You are not the thought. You are the thinker. You are not the wave. You are the ocean. Take one last moment of absolute silence before the day claims you. Feel the expansion in your chest. Feel the stillness that remains beneath your heartbeat. This is your sanctuary. This is your truth. And it is always here, waiting for you, whenever the world gets too loud and the mask gets too heavy. All you have to do is stop. All you have to do is listen. The infinite is not a distant goal. It is the ground you are standing on. Think about the history of your ancestors. Before the advent of the electric light bulb, human sleep was not a single, solid block of 8 hours. Historians call it biphasic sleep. Our ancestors would sleep for a few hours after sunset, then wake in the middle of the night for an hour or two of the watch. During this time, they didn't scroll through news or worry about productivity. They sat by the dying embers of the fire. They prayed. They made love. They interpreted their dreams. They existed in the watchman state. They knew that 3 o'clock AM was a bridge. When we forced ourselves into the modern sleep schedule, we didn't just change our biology. We severed our connection to the sacred night. We turned the watchman state into insomnia. We turned a spiritual gift into a medical pathology. But your body hasn't forgotten. Your DNA still carries the rhythm of the firelight. When you wake up now, you are reclaiming a piece of your ancient heritage. You are stepping back into the rhythm that sustained the human spirit for millennia. Feel the depth of that connection. You are not a modern person with a sleep disorder. You are an ancient soul, remembering how to communicate with the silence. Let's go deeper into the biology of this doorway. As we mentioned, your brain is currently a laboratory of transcendence. Between 2 o'clock AM and 4 o'clock AM, your production of melatonin is at its peak, but because you are awake, that melatonin is interacting with your waking consciousness in a unique way. In the East, they call this the Brahma Muhurta, the time of the Creator. It is the period when the energy of the environment is most conducive to the practice of meditation and yoga. The air is literally saturated with more prana, or life force, because the botanical world has been exhaling in the darkness, and the frantic activity of human commerce hasn't yet begun to pollute the energetic field. It's as if the universe has hit the reset button, and for a few hours, the slate is clean. Can you feel that cleanliness? It feels like a cool, sharp clarity in the back of your throat. It feels like the edges of your thoughts have been sharpened by a diamond. This is the state of high-resolution consciousness. During the day, our consciousness is standard definition. It's grainy, noisy, and distorted by the interference of 1,000 different distractions. But at 3 o'clock am, the interference is gone. You are seeing reality in 4K. Every shadow in your room has a texture. Every distant sound, a dog barking 3 streets away, the hum of a far-off transformer, has a weight and a meaning. You are no longer skimming the surface of life. You are diving into the depths. Think about the hidden trap again. The trap is the fear that if you dive too deep, you will drown. The fear that if you look too closely at the infinite, you will lose your mind. But what if you aren't a solid object that can drown? What if you are the water itself? The fear you feel in the middle of the night, that sudden, cold grip in the pit of your stomach, is not a warning of danger. It is the ego's vertigo. It is the sensation of the small self looking over the edge of the infinite and realizing how small it truly is. When you feel that vertigo, don't pull back. Don't turn on the light. Leaning into it. The ego is like a salt doll trying to measure the depth of the ocean. The moment it touches the water, it begins to dissolve. The ego calls this death. The soul calls this union. You are dissolving into the night. This is why 3 o'clock am is the doorway. It is the place where the doll of your personality melts back into the ocean of the infinite. And the miracle is, when the sun rises, the doll will reform. You will have your name back. You will have your job back. You will have your story back. But you will be different. You will carry the salt of the ocean in your blood. You will know, with a certainty that no logic can provide, that you are more than the shape you take during the day. You will know that you are the ocean, pretending for a while to be a doll. Why is it that our failures feel so much heavier at 3 o'clock am? During the day, you can argue with your mistakes. You can rationalize them, bury them under a mountain of tasks, or drown them out with a podcast. But at this hour, your failures don't just speak. They sit on the edge of your bed and stare at you with unblinking eyes. This is what St. John of the Cross called the dark night of the soul. It's a purging process. It's the universe's way of stripping away the false self, so that the true self can finally breathe. If you feel a sense of existential dread right now, don't run from it. That dread is the friction of your soul rubbing against the limitations of your ego. Think about the vagus nerve, the long, wandering nerve that connects your brain to your heart and your gut. At 3 o'clock am, your parasympathetic nervous system is trying to bring you into a state of deep rest, but your mind is still vibrating with the residue of the day's stress. This creates a biological dissonance. It feels like anxiety, but it is actually a call to surrender. Your body is asking you to let go of the steering wheel. It is asking you to trust that the universe knows how to keep your heart beating and the earth spinning without your constant supervision. Take a deep breath and feel the vagus nerve soften. Notice how the silence of the house isn't flat. It has layers. There is the silence of the furniture, the silence of the walls, and beneath it all, the humming silence of the earth itself. In Nada Yoga, the yoga of sound, they speak of the anahata nada, the unstruck sound. It is the frequency of the universe that is always playing, but which can only be heard when all other sounds have ceased. At 3 o'clock am, you are finally quiet enough to hear the anahata nada. It sounds like a faint, high-pitched ringing or a low, distant thrum. Most people dismiss it as tinnitus or the sound of the blood in their ears. But to the seeker, this is the aum, the primordial vibration from which all matter arises. You are listening to the hum of the engine of creation. Think about the difference between loneliness and solitude. The theologian Paul Tillich once said that language has created the word loneliness to express the pain of being alone, and the word solitude to express the glory of being alone. Most people wake up at 3 o'clock a.m. and feel lonely. They feel like a tiny, isolated island in a dark sea. But if you shift your perspective, you move into solitude. You realize that you are not an island, you are the sea. The hidden trap is the belief that you need someone else to be whole. We spend our lives looking for the other, the partner, the friend, the audience, to validate our existence. But in the solitude of 3 o'clock a.m., you discover that you are already complete. You are the witness and the witnessed. You are the lover and the beloved. You are the question and the answer. This realization is the true doorway to the infinite. It is the moment you stop looking outside for the light and realize that you are the lamp. Consider the void in Buddhist philosophy. We often translate it as emptiness, but a more accurate translation might be spaciousness. It is the space in which everything happens. Think about a cup. If the cup is full of tea, it cannot hold coffee. If it's full of old tea that has gone cold and bitter, it cannot hold anything fresh. Your mind is usually full of old tea stale memories, bitter regrets, and cold plans. 3 o'clock a.m. is the moment the universe tips the cup over. It empties you. It leaves you spacious. And in that spaciousness, the infinite can finally pour itself in. You feel that. A sudden sense of lightness in your chest. It's the feeling of being empty. It's the feeling of being a vessel that is finally ready to be used. Don't be in a hurry to fill the space. Stay in the emptiness for as long as you can. The world will try to fill you up soon enough. It will give you a list of things to worry about, people to please, and goals to achieve. It will try to convince you that your spaciousness is a problem that needs to be fixed. But you know better now. You know that the problem is the treasure. You know that the void is the source of all creativity. Think about a musician. The music doesn't come from the notes. The music comes from the silence between the notes. If the notes were continuous, it wouldn't be music, it would just be noise. Your life is the same. The doing is the note. The being at 3 o'clock a.m. is the silence. Without this silence, your life is just noise. But with the silence, your life becomes a symphony. The blue of the pre-dawn is different from the blue of the twilight. Twilight is the color of memory, a fading echo of what has already passed. But this blue, the 4 o'clock and blue, is the color of anticipation. It is the vibration of a world that is holding its breath, waiting for the first spark of creation to ignite the horizon. Think about the quantum observer one more time. Physicists like Werner Heisenberg and Niels Bohr showed us that the very act of looking at something changes it. The observer is not separate from the experiment. In the laboratory of your bedroom, you are the observer and the experiment is your life. By sitting in this stillness, by looking at your fears and your dreams through the lens of the infinite, you are literally changing their structure. You are coding the reality you are about to step into. Most people walk into their day as a reaction. They react to the alarm, they react to the news, they react to the coffee. They are particles being pushed around by the wind. But you have spent this time in the superposition of potential. You have seen the field before it becomes the form. This means that when you walk out your door today, you aren't just a particle. You are the wave. You are the movement. Take a deep breath and feel the power of that choice. You have the ability to carry this infinite perspective into the finite world. You can be the calm center in the middle of a screaming office. You can be the silence in the middle of a heated argument. This is what it means to be a master of reality. It's not about manifesting cars or money, though those things are small echoes of the truth. It is about manifesting presence. It is about being so grounded in the infinite that the world cannot knock you off your feet. Think about the trees outside your window. They don't worry about whether the sun will rise. They don't plan their growth. They don't compare their leaves to the tree next door. They simply be. They are in a state of constant 3 o'clock am. They are rooted in the earth and reaching for the sky, existing in a perfect vertical alignment with the present moment. You can learn from them. You can be rooted in your being while reaching for your doing. As the birds begin their first, tentative calls, listen to the shift in energy. The silence is breaking. The Amrit Vela is closing its doors. But do not feel a sense of urgency. The infinite does not leave. It simply hides behind the curtain of the light. Imagine a star. During the day you cannot see it, but the star is still there, burning with the same intensity, occupying the same point in space. It is only the glare of the sun that obscures it. Your infinite self is that star. The glare of your daily life, your ego, your worries, your roles will soon make it hard to see your own light. You will forget. You will get caught up in the drama. You will think you are the small self again. That's okay. That is part of being human. The secret is to have a reference point. 3 o'clock am is your reference point. It is the memory of the truth that you can return to whenever you feel lost. When the world feels too heavy, when the noise feels too loud, you can close your eyes for 3 seconds and find that 3 o'clock am silence living inside your ribcage. It never left. It cannot leave. It is what you are made of. Look at the edges of the furniture in your room. They are becoming sharper now. The soft, blurred shadows of the midnight hour are retreating, and the hard lines of the material world are asserting themselves once more. You can feel the great machine of society beginning to groan as it turns over. Somewhere, a light flickers on in a neighbor's window. A distant engine hums. The collective dream is ending, and the collective drama is about to begin. But look at your hands one more time. They are the same hands that were weightless and infinite just an hour ago. The atoms within them are still dancing in that same quantum superposition. The light that is now hitting your skin is the same light that travels across the vacuum of space, carrying the signature of the beginning of time. The transformation is not about staying in the dark. It is about realizing that the dark and the light are two sides of the same coin. Alan Watts often spoke about the game of hide and seek that the universe plays with itself. The infinite hides in the finite. The ocean hides in the wave. God hides in the person sitting on the edge of the bed at 4:30 in the morning. Why? Because if the universe were only infinite, it would be bored. It wouldn't be able to experience the thrill of discovery, the ache of longing, or the joy of a morning cup of coffee. You are the universe's way of having an adventure. The hidden trap is taking the adventure too seriously. We forget it's a game. We forget that we are the one who wrote the script, built the stage, and took on the role. But when you wake up at 3 o'clock am, the actor goes back to the dressing room for a moment. You take off the wig, you wipe off the makeup, and you look in the mirror. You remember who you are before the next act begins. Take a deep breath and feel the immense relief of that memory. You don't have to win at life today. You don't have to be better than anyone else. You just have to be the space in which the life happens. Think about the sun that is currently hidden behind the curve of the earth. It doesn't struggle to rise. It doesn't worry if it will be bright enough. It doesn't check its schedule. It simply follows the law of its own nature. You have a nature too. Beneath the layers of shoulds and musts, beneath the expectations of your family and the demands of your career, there is a natural movement of your soul. At 3:00 a.m., you touched that movement. You felt the current of your own life stream. As you prepare to stand up and walk into the morning, ask yourself, how can I stay in the current? How can you move through your day with the same grace and silence you found in the dark? It starts with the realization that the infinite is not a place you go to. It is the how of your being. It is the quality of your attention. When you listen to a friend with your whole heart, without judging or preparing a response, you are in the infinite. When you walk down the street and feel the sun on your face without naming the sensation, you are in the infinite. When you accept a moment of pain or frustration without trying to push it away, you are in the doorway. The 3:00 a.m. window is closing, but the doorway is always open. It is as close as your next breath. It is as immediate as the silence between these words. You are no longer the person who woke up an hour ago, lost and restless. You are the one who has seen the backdrop. You are the one who has spoken to the silence. The day ahead of you is a blank canvas. Usually we paint the same picture every day, the same worries, the same reactions, the same self-limiting stories. But today, you carry the blue of the infinite on your brush. You can paint something different. You can paint a day filled with presence. You can paint a day where you are the observer of the storm, not the victim of it. You can paint a day where you see the golden shadow in every person you meet. This is the true meaning of awakening. It isn't about seeing visions or having supernatural powers. It is about the quiet, steady realization that you are fundamentally free. Free from the past. Free from the future. Free from the small self that thinks it is alone. Take one last look at the room in this transitional light. It is beautiful, isn't it? The way the ordinary becomes extraordinary when you really look at it. The way the mundane is saturated with the divine. This is the world you are stepping into. Not a world of problems and tasks, but a world of shimmering potential. The infinite is calling your name, not from across the stars, but from the very center of your own heart. Go now. Wash your face. Drink your water. Step out into the light. But don't go back to sleep. Keep the watchman awake inside you. Keep the silence alive in your ears. The doorway is open, and you are the one walking through it.